Alright, hey everyone. Doing a quick video on probably one of the best DPS Juno builds that's currently in the new Stadium game mode right now. Been playing it for a couple of days, trying out a couple of different stuff. Been seeing other people's ideas and posts about DPS Juno builds and whatever else, and I feel like this is potentially one of the best ones in the game right now. So in terms of round one, you want to start with either Pulsar Plus or Cosmic Coolant. This one here is usually what I go with first because it gives you an additional charge of your pulsar torpedoes, so you can hit that and then you can also hit that again. And you can already see the kind of damage that does right off the bat, but also since it can connect to friendlies and the enemies as well, it's going to provide like a pretty great deal of healing as well for all your team, not just one person. So that's usually what I like to go with first on round one, and then in terms of what I use for my items, I like to usually just go with ability power, lifesteal, and just to make sure I stay alive. First aid kit, reduce the time before your life begins regenerating by 33%, just so that you don't have to rely on heals majority of the time, and if you just stay back for just a couple of seconds, you'll start getting your health and your shield back. Then you get to round two, just say you got a little bit more cash, you most likely will probably just want to stick with these depending on how much cash you got. I think the last game I played you should have enough to get, say, either lock-on shield, which gives you overhealth equal to 50% of your max shields when you're using your pulsar torpedoes, so you're going to be a little bit more tanky when you're in that kind of vulnerable state when you're using your ability. So when you use your pulsar torpedoes, you'll get a little bit more health there. But the main thing that we want to be looking for is the pulsar destroyers. This is what makes the Juno DPS build. So you've got this here, gives you 15% extra ability power, and then when the torpedoes hit, they explode, dealing an extra 20 damage, and that also applies for damage to anyone that's close to them when you're hitting them with these torpedoes. So it does a lot more extra damage, and that's really where this build starts to kick off around round two. Round three, say. Then once we get to round three, as I was talking about, these two are the first two that you kind of want to go for. It's pretty self-explanatory that we're going to use Cosmic Coolant for round three, and then obviously if you pick this in round one, you're probably going to want to start using this come round three. And just a refresher, Pulsar Torpedoes cooldown is reduced by 1 second for each target it hits. That's ally and enemy. So when you're using your torpedoes, try not to single out anyone, but try and cover as much ground as possible when it comes to friendlies and enemies as well, and that's going to bring your torpedo cooldown down a really significant amount. And you've already got 2 charges of this torpedo already, so you can pretty much just start stacking those. And if you're getting it right and you're getting just the right amount of people in your torpedoes, you're going to be using upwards to 3 of them at a time before having to wait for a little cooldown. So that obviously adds up quite a bit and changes the course of the game pretty significantly. From this point on, yeah, we're going to be going for lock-on shield for these earlier stages just to make sure we're staying alive. And obviously the pulsar torpedoes, the exploding on hit is really detrimental. And from this point on, because you've got really most of this one's obviously the one that you need to keep whole time. When it comes to the rest of these, they're expendable, and you can honestly probably go without. But with that being said, once you have enough cash to go to the higher ones, like the rares and the epics, you want to prioritize ability power. So once you get to round 3, you'll probably have a little bit stuck around, so you can honestly go really good one for round 3, Nano Cola, and then obviously with that you can get rid of Power Playbook and Shetty Spectacles. So you've got your Nano Cola there, and then you probably want to go with Energized Braces, which gives you another 10% ability power on top of that, and then you've also got your 10% ability lifesteal as well. So with that being said, this is a rough kind of draw up of what you could potentially have come round 3 if you've got enough cash. And if you don't have enough cash, you could honestly probably do without the lock-on shield if you just play a little bit more safer, and for that you're looking at about 21,000 cash for this build around round 3. And now that we're into round 4, depending on how much cash you have, the next thing I would definitely look into trying to get is Iridescent Iris, which gives you another 20% ability power, and you also get 10% cooldown reduction. This means that with the round 3 power that we put on Cosmic Coolant, with every target that it hits decreasing by 1 second, that cooldown is also reduced by another 10% then while we're using them continuously, and those also become stronger with the 20% ability power. Also, after spending your ultimate charge, you gain 100 overhealth for 3 seconds, So when you pop your ult, you know that you've got a little bit of that extra health, so you can really get in there and try and maybe get some picks for your team as well, using your torpedoes and maybe finishing off the kill with your blaster as well. See, now this is where things kind of branch off depending on how much DPS you really want to play. If you really just want to stick to the book of just, I want to be a DPS and just try and, annihilate everyone, you can do either, well, you got Torpedo Glide, which every 50 damage you deal reduces the cooldown of the torpedoes again by 1 second, or you've got, say, the Mediblaster can critically hit. Another one to maybe try and confirm kills is the Hyper Ring. It slows down the move speed of enemies who pass through it. So just say you're going after someone and you can just chuck this down to try and almost make sure that they don't get to cover in time. But personally, I know this is the DPS build, but I mean, you are a healer at the end of the day. So you've got the Medicinal Missiles, which is the Pulsar Torpedoes heal for an extra 30 and cause allies hit to receive 50% more healing. And to kind of put that into perspective, it is the equivalent of an Ananade towards her allies. So with this towards your team, on top of the torpedoes going towards enemies, you are doing a lot more for both sides of the team than, like you would be just on a purely healing or a purely DPS build. It's got that almost perfect balance. So when you get to this point, you're really not lacking in anything. You're kind of just solid overall. And from this point on, you can kind of just branch out and do whatever you please. By this time as well, you should be able to afford Champion's Kit, which is 40% ability power, obviously sending you way over that 105% ability power mark, way more than you need. It's obviously definitely still up there. You could honestly probably do without energized braces. You could come over and maybe get something more catered towards your ability power. You've got this one here. So this one restores shields by 25 shields every 1 second. It also gives you 25% more ability power, which is going to sit you at 120%. But personally, I would just go for more the ones that actually help with your abilities. So when you use your abilities, your next instance of weapon damage or healing does 25 bonus damage or healing. Or you've got Catalytic Crystal, which doing the damage and healing gives you more ultimate charge, which means you get more beams throughout the game, which is obviously going to help you go that extra mile. And at this point, if you're getting towards round 7 or you're at round 7 and you're looking for that last power to put on, once again, if you want to go more the support route, I would definitely recommend Hyper Healer, just as it gives your team 50 over health as if they're affected by your Hyper Ring. So what you can do is, if you're just playing an objective, you can just throw it in there and you're giving that team just a little bit more health for you to branch off and go do your own thing. But once again, if you want to go more DPS, you can go Medimaster and Stinger. I know that was all quite a bit confusing, but I'll try and simple it down when I edit this, and hopefully it makes a lot more sense to you guys. But as you can see there, I know this is the round 7 build. You can kind of see how quickly the enemies are dropping just by these couple of torpedoes that I'm throwing out. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this little build video. I know this is not usually the type of content that I do, but if you did want to see more of this, make sure to let me know by just chucking a like on the video, something like that, a comment, tell you this helped. But yeah, I've got a couple more ideas on builds that I want to do, maybe potentially other Juno ones or some Reaper ones as well, which I've been having a look at. But yeah, if you enjoyed this, if this helped you out, if you're in the buy stage right now looking for a build, I hope this helped you. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.